We have been studying about the maxillomandibular jaw relationship. We have covered orientation and vertical till now, and it's time to learn the centric or horizontal jaw relation. Now you would already know me, but yes, I'm Dr. Riddhi Lalan, your mentor for prosthodontics and dental material, and also an author who wrote Prosthodontic Mind Map book. And let's just quickly move to the topic today. Before that, if you have not seen the videos, go watch the playlist, learn about the orientation jaw relation, about the face bow, how to record vertical dimension, and what happens when the vertical dimension is altered. So, as I always say, you need to know your GPT-9 definition. And this is one of the lengthiest and toughest according to students. So, quickly, it is the maxillomandibular relationship independent of tooth contact, in which the condyle articulate in anterior superior position against the posterior slopes of articular eminences, and in this position the mandible is restricted to purely rotary movement. I hope you know what are the movements that happen in TMJ. Rotation followed by translation. But in centric jaw relation, it is restricted to purely rotational movement, and from this unstrained physiologic relationship, the patient can make vertical lateral or protrusive movement. It is clinically useful, repeatable reference position. So to talk about, I would just say that you need to remember this and break it down. Okay. So first thing is that it is going to be independent of tooth contact. This does not depend on tooth, how they are coming in contact, but it is more about the physiologic rest position. So the first thing you mention is it is independent of your tooth contact. Then the next thing that comes into my mind is the anatomy. So what position it is? It is the anterior superior position against the posterior slope of articular eminence. And in this position, mandible is restricted to which movement? So you talk about purely rotational movement. And from this unstrained physiologic movement, the patient can make lateral, protrusive, and vertical movements, and it is clinically useful and repeatable. So this is all that you need to remember, and when you frame it in a sentence, it will be done. I know it's difficult, but don't worry. You can actually refer to this mind map n number of times in the app. Go download the app today and let's make learning easy. Let's move on to discussing the theories now. According to ligament theory, it said that centric relation was determined by the tension of capsular and temporomandibular ligaments. So it was basically the ligament that made sure that your mandible went into centric position. Then there was a meniscus theory. What did it say? That the centric relation was determined by the position and proper interposition of articular disc. So this was more about the position of the disc and not the ligament. Osteofiber. So it said that it was the harmony between osteo, which means bone, and fiber. Here refers to ligament, that together actually determined the position. And then there was muscle theory. So muscle theory said that it was the balanced contraction of your elevator muscle. We need to be more specific, not just any muscle, but your elevator muscle that determined your centric relation. So if you see all the four components, that is ligament, the articular disc, bone, and the muscle are responsible. But which amongst the four is most accepted theory? I want you to open the book and answer. But at the same time, let's just quickly look at the problem or the shortcomings in each of the theory. Talking about the first, that is the ligament theory. Now it said that it was the most stable position, but the most stable was considered to be the posterior most position. Now that is not something that is most stable, and it was not even physiologic. It led to strain because the most physiologic position was the one that had been at the anterior superior position and with the posterior eminence of your articulator. Then there was the next theory, that was the meniscus theory. Now according to this, the disc position was highly variable. Thus, it is not clinically measurable. So this theory was also not accepted well. Then came the other thing, that was the osteofiber theory. Now this theory was most accepted, but at the same time what happened was that certain authors considered it to be very vague. They said there was no clear-cut demarcation that was obtained, that it was because of the bone and the ligament that this was considered. Then moving on to the last thing, that is the muscle theory. Now, what does the muscle theory say? It says that the activity of muscle is very variable. At times, the muscle can be overactive. If the person is bruxer, what is going to happen? There's going to be overactivity. So it can be affected by fatigue, by pain, and also by the habit. And hence, this was also not accepted. So it was osteofiber theory that was considered to be most perfect. So now let's quickly understand what are the methods to record the centric jaw relation. They are divided broadly into 4 types: physiologic, functional, graphic, and radiographic methods. When I talk about physiologic, it is more dependent on patient's perception and the physiologic positioning. So it is tactile or interocclusal check record method, wherein I use anterior deprogrammer, Lucia jig, and leaf gauge. These are mostly used in cases wherein we already have existing dentition. So in cases of FMR, in cases of rehabilitating with FPDs, bridges, all of these will be considered as interocclusal check record method. But for complete denture, there are 2 methods specifically: pressureless, wherein I use nick and notch method, and a pressure method, wherein I ask the patient to close under pressure using your occlusal rim. So when I talk about nick and notch, what exactly is done? A nick and a notch is made onto your maxillary rim, and a trench is made onto your mandibular rim. Why is this? Basically, the nick acts as your orientation guide for the positioning of your rim, while notch will act as an interlocking mechanism. And you have your material that is placed here, and it flows and holds the maxillomandibular relationship in contact. Then we have the next method, that is functional. So we ask the patient to perform all the functional movements. It can be needle house and Patterson. So let's just discuss the functional methods again. When I talk about needle house, okay, so what I do here is that I replace my wax rim with the compound rim, and I place styli. So it is basically your metal pin kind of structure that is placed into your maxillary rim. Now what is going to happen? This styli has to have a stable base. I cannot have rim that is made out of occlusal wax, because what is going to happen? It's going to move. And lower rim has wax. What I'm going to ask my patient to do is these movements. I ask them to protrude, maximum protrusion. From that, the patient takes it to maximum right lateral, left lateral, and the most retruded position. And what you obtain here, can you see this diamond? It's nothing but your records that have been obtained. And the most retruded position is nothing but your centric relation. So it is the functional or physiologic position that has been determined. On the other hand, there is one more method which is known as Patterson. What is done here is that a trench, can you see a trench that is made into this mandibular rim? So if you see from the cross section, you see a trench. Now I use a mixture of equal ratio of carborundum and plaster, mix it together, and I ask the patient to perform all the movements: maximum protrusion, maximum right lateral, maximum left lateral, and at the same time, the maximum retruded or centric relation. Now, because the patient is going to move, there is going to be curve that will be generated, either an anterior posterior curve or a mediolateral curve, and this curve is nothing but your compensating curve. How is compensating curve going to help us determine the centric relation? If you want to know this, you have to go watch the video of compensating curves, in which I teach about each curve, the anterior posterior and the mediolateral curve, in detail. So this was about your functional method that is generated by patient's function. Now about the graphic method, which is one of the very interesting one, but you don't usually perform it in your UG. But if you're lucky and you pursue post-graduation in prostho, you will be able to do it. It's nothing but actually there are central bearing plates and central bearing point that are placed, and then you ask the patient to perform the movements. So this point is actually going to make something like this. There is a structure that is going to be made, and there is carbon that is painted onto this. And whenever this structure is being made, we identify one point at which the mandible is retruding the most. It is the unstrained position from which it is multiple number of times repeated and we can get the same position back again. So once you have obtained this centric relation, and it is the tip that determines the centric relation. So from here, so in graphic method, there are two types. It is either intraoral or extraoral. Now, intraoral happens internally and there is no visibility, but it is more close to your TMJ, so it is more reliable. But at the same time, extraoral happens outside the mouth. So this arrow happens outside the mouth and it is extraoral. And how do you interpret it? So it is basically where all the lines are going to meet. That's your centric relation. As we know, centric relation is most useful and repeatable position. The patient will be able to take it repeatedly at the same part. So this will determine your centric relation. Depending on how you have got your arrow, you can actually determine what exactly can be your problem. So here, what you should obtain is something that is symmetrical. The classic tracing, okay? Unrestricted movement, no pain, nothing that is compromising your arrow. The arrow appears completely symmetrical and same. But at the same time, if you obtain flat, or let's say one line is more longer than the other, or there's a miniature thing that has been obtained, or an asymmetrical thing, this means that there is something that is hindering your TMJ. It can be due to your lateral condylar movement that is being restricted, or there can be forcible retraction or protrusion of mandible, or it also can be because the denture bases are ill-fitting, the patient has pain. Any factor that does not allow your temporomandibular joint to glide properly will lead to asymmetrical and problematic tracing. So what you desire and look for is the classic tracing. Now, this is very important that you learn each one of them because it can be asked in your NEET. So this is very important NEET point of view. And if you actually want to learn and visit this mind map, go download the app today because this mind map is already present on the app. You can just spend your coins and download it and you can revise it n number of times that you want. So this was all about the methods that we use to actually record. Now, what are the clinical considerations that we actually have to look for when we are recording your centric relation? There can be limited tooth contact. Now, what will happen? Anterior and lateral to centric relation. Limited tooth contact can lead to compromised centric relation, but you can use combination of methods to record it. At the same time, distance between maximum intercuspation position and centric relation. So one thing that is very important and clinically oriented is that centric relation is not equivalent to centric occlusion or maximum intercuspation position, which time there is going to be discrepancies between them. Centric relation is much more backwards. What I want you to do is perform one exercise with me. Just try to close your mouth and try to take your mandible as behind as possible. There is a gap that is present, right? But that is not how you close it in normal maximum intercuspation position. So this can also happen as and when you age. But if you give your complete dentures, the centric occlusion should be established at centric relation. Keep this in mind. And at the same time, challenges that we can encounter in edentulous patient is that the accuracy can be altered at any point of time. Centric relation is always the starting point in giving an artificial occlusion. Just don't, let the patient decide that they want to close it. At times when you guide the patient, they close it in class 3. So you have to guide them in a way that they can retrude their mandible and try to establish the occlusion nowhere but at your centric relation. I hope this was easier for you to understand. There can be a long question that can be expected out of this. And don't worry, just revise this entire mind map and you should be good to go. Let's just quickly understand and solve the MCQ. In centric relation, condyle is positioned in the most posterior position in glenoid fossa, in the most superior position in maximum intercuspation, in anterior superior position against articular eminence. Now, if you would have actually paid attention to the definition, you can easily know the answer. What is it? Yes, it's nothing but the anterior superior position against your articular eminence. Talking about the flashcard. Why is centric relation considered to be the most repeatable and reproducible position? Because of the theory. So if you paid attention to the theory, it was the Osteofibrous Theory that has been considered closest and most acceptable, which says that it is the bone and the ligament guided position determined by the condyle and the disc relationship in the glenoid fossa and is independent of tooth contact. Now, because there is no tooth contact, we can understand that the physiologic position is being functionally guided, and hence that is considered to be most repeatable and reproducible position. I hope you guys had fun learning this. And if you have enjoyed, please download the app today and don't forget to solve more MCQs and flashcards and make your own flashcards. Create new flashcards, review them, mark yourself, and let me know how far have you understood complete dentures. I'll see you in the next video.